Welcome to Highway to Helms in 3, 2, 1.
Another day, another dollar as I holler to the world. I love the way I'm living, love the Gucci, love the girls, love the parties and the clubs, love the mamas and hot tubs, love the German engineering set on deep dish dubs. Another tour around the world, entertaining the fans. I love walking through the airport, taking pictures, shaking hands.
Welcome everybody to season 3 of Highway to Helms, and it's season 3 because finally we're not relegated. What am I saying? Regulated. Regulators!
Mount up.
We're not regulated to just iTunes anymore. We got 1 million downloads on iTunes, and now we're breaking into the YouTube market. Got to keep growing, got to keep getting bigger and better, so that's what we're doing. Let's start off by thanking our sponsors for the show this week. Highspots.com. Any wrestling merchandise, paraphernalia, DVDs, masks, championship belts, action figures, yada, yada, yada. Anything you need, Highspots.com has them. They're the wet dream of wrestling merchandise. Figure4apps.com, still the only pro wrestler with his own app. I can't believe these guys are so far behind the curve. I'm so far ahead of the curve, I can't even see the road no more. And there's a joke in there somewhere about me wrecking my bike, but leave that out. I make my own jokes. I'm a wrestling fan, the event locator for all wrestling events going on in the world. Not just the country, not just the continent, but in the world. Not just WWE, not just TNA, not just Ring of Honor. Any independent promotion out there. Get the I'm a Wrestling Fan. Promote your shit. Same thing goes for I'm a Fight Fan, but for MMA, not just Bellator, not just UFC, not just Strikeforce, but any independent MMA show out there, you can find it on I'm a Fight Fan. It digs into your GPS, takes you right to the door. Same concept for NASCAR, and I almost said ASCAR. For ASCAR and Indy fans, I'm a race fan. Same concept for Comic-Con. And the last time I saw the guest this week was actually at the San Diego Comic-Con, the world's best Comic-Con, but there's a lot of great ones that you probably don't know about. This little app will tell you. I also got to thank RF Video for producing the one and only Shane Helms shoot, getting rave reviews, but that may only be because I only read the good ones. I don't read that bad shit, man. I ain't got time for it.
No negativity.
No negativity. We got a special video we want to show you before we bring in our guests, and this video is going to be good. I can't do it justice, so just watch it, and we're going to bring in Diamond Dallas Page as soon as this video is over.
What are you doing?
Sent me those first 2 pictures on with the knee braces, the back brace, the canes, 297 pounds, and his belly was out to here. I was thinking, God, how am I going to help that guy?
When you get what you want and not what you need. When you feel so tired that you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. Tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Let it be well. Birds will guide you home.
they'll fall. I'm not going to do that right now. But I'm really pleased with this. And I just want to share it with you. Thanks a lot.
To love, let it go. You'll never try, you'll never know.
Here's where I'm at now.
What you wear.
Just because I can't do it today doesn't mean I'm not going to do it someday.
That was pretty damn powerful.
Intense, sir.
With that being said, I don't know if any introduction I can give is going to do better than that video. But this guy doesn't need any introduction anyway. Former WCW champion multiple times. This guy got in wrestling probably at an age that most people wouldn't even dream of it, and became successful. And that's powerful. But like I said, nothing I'm gonna say is gonna outdo that video. So let's just bring in Diamond Dallas Page. We gotta bring in your Skype. Where you at? Where you at? Boom. There you are, brother. How's it going, man?
You know me, bro. Unstoppable.
That video was awesome.
That was impressive.
It was really cool. It was watching your faces.
Oh yeah, because you can see us. How you can see us watching.
Yeah, and you could see, like, where you get taken back a little bit when he does that Ric Flair bump, which is not the Ric Flair bump. That's the real one.
Yeah.
And actually back when he would send me pieces. But let's go all the way back to where he comes from. So we're talking about him. When I came up and I talk about, when he sent me the pictures, before we ever got to the pictures, this is my first workouts that I developed. And I made videos of them and DVDs of them, and anybody who did the workout, bought it, I would send them an email saying, hey, really appreciate you buying the program. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just love some feedback. And his feedback was unbelievable. So I sent him back another email. I said, sounds like you need help, man. I said, why don't you tell me about yourself? And he told me that the opening paragraph was he had relegated to thinking of himself as a piece of furniture. I was like, wow, never heard that before. And then he said that he was a disabled veteran, that he'd been a paratrooper, and how paratroopers drop 10 to 15 feet a second, carrying anywhere from 50 to 200 pounds on their back when they hit the ground. So just like what we do for a living, or did for a living, you still out there doing it, special wrestling, you can't fake gravity. When those, they're not sport jumping, these guys. Their mission is to get from the plane to the ground as fast as possible and take their gear with them and hit and roll. And he said he never walked away from a jump not hurting somewhere. And those guys who get like 20, 30 jumps in, and then they retire after 3 or 4 years in the military. When they get to around the mid-30s, 40s, they really feel it. There's all sorts of sites online about guys who are just so broken down. Well, Arthur was 14 years in well over 500 jumps. Now, there are freaks out there who I'm sure had 1,000 jumps, still walking around. But then again, Ric Flair is still bumping the ring. So, Ric's not from this planet. We all know that. How he's still doing it is mind-boggling to me. But I once heard him say, it's amazing what you can teach the body to tolerate. But at some point, we're all human beings. And at some point, our body says, hey, fuck you. Now I pay you back for what you did to me. And Arthur was going to retire. He's 14 years in. And I don't know a guy from the military that once he gets to 12 is not staying for 20 because they want that 20, And he just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to be able to walk. So he put in for his retirement. Then we had the first Gulf War. And, they have stop loss. Boom, you're going. And he went, he actually walked away from a helicopter crash. And the next time he fell from the sky, blew both his knees out, boom, like completely, couple bot surgeries. And they sent him home permanently disabled. And when you can't move, when you can't run, when you can't do what you know is cardio, even walking to burn fat, when you can't do that, what happens? And so he packed on more weight, and it just, you've seen it. The video says it all. When he sent me those 2 pictures, I thought to myself, like I said there, man, I remember that moment like it was yesterday. Like, how am I going to help this guy? And I had this eating plan. I got 3 of them. You'll never hear me use the word diet. Because what's the first 3 letters of the word diet spelled?
Yeah. Diet.
There's not a diet that works for a lifetime. A lifestyle that works. So I sent him the phase 3 eating plan I have. Anyone I put who's really big, 100 pounds overweight, I won't even work with them if they won't start with the phase 3. Then you can back down to the phase 2, but you're never really going to change off of that. If you're 100 pounds or more overweight, that's your lifestyle completely. And I sent it to him. Now, if he says to me, I'm going to give this a try, I think I can do this, I would have wrote back, good luck, keep me posted. But he didn't write that. He wrote 4 powerful words, and because you've done it all your life, bro. I can do this. I said, send me your phone number. That's the first time, Shane, I ever called someone that I didn't know. That I didn't know personally that was doing the program. So we started talking, and I explained to him as important as, the workout, still my YRG workout, but I have my YRG workouts and my DDP Psycho, extreme workouts. They're all under their DDP yoga, under the auspices, key word there I picked up. But I said, as important as the workout is, as important as the eating plan is, it's only really 10% of the equation. The 90% is right here in your brain, man, what you tell yourself every day. And then I went on to tell him that, I don't have to have an MD at the end of the initials DDP to tell you, if you don't change your life, like really soon, you're never going to live 5, 10 more years later. It just ain't going to happen. And how he rationalized that with himself, he started to realize and explain to himself that not the slice of pizza, but the whole pizza, he was telling his kids that this pizza is more important than you. And that's how he started to reprogram his brain. And he did something, dude. And being me and you were very revolutionary on so many things. You got the first app out there. I was the first wrestler to have his first site in 1995. But it wasn't me. It was my buddy who did it, But I was the first guy to have his own site on the internet. And as far as
we might have to research that now. Mine's been out a pretty long time too. We're gonna have to go into the details.
If there's anything, I was the first guy WCW, WWF.
Yeah.
WCW said I was cannibalizing their website at one point. Right? I was the first. I was like, you need to get another, because I wasn't letting my guys go. I was going to get that word out there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose my point. This guy. Now, I didn't know what YouTube was 6 years ago, and that video, all that footage was filmed except for him looking, like he does today. Was all filmed. Actually, it was all done in a year, probably a year and 2 months. All that footage, even with the short hair, all that. It took him 10 months to go on that journey of weight loss. What he did after I talked to him, and you can look this up on YouTube, just push in YRG, Diamond Dallas Page or whatever, and you have to find it. But I was going through the YouTubes, okay, my things I put up there, just so people could see. Like if you go to DDPYoga.com, there's a trailer under workouts of that site that actually has a trailer of every workout I have. And it's like a 3-minute trailer, shows you different things that are happening in this workout. Well, I did that same thing 6 years ago, but not as evolved. So I just took little pieces of it. So you could see parts of the workout. And that's when Arthur went to my site. He looked at the workouts. He goes, well, I could do this. I could lean on the bed. I could use a chair. I could do this. And but what he did is he put a video up there. And on the video, he said, I understand if you're going to start a diet or a workout, you should tell people about it because you're more likely to stick to it. And I'm sort of hoping you'll come by and say, hey, you still doing that YRG? You still doing Diamond Dallas Page's program? Are you sticking to the diet? And then he went on. I was like, oh, my God. I'd never seen someone like put a post up there at that time. I mean, YouTube was in its embryonic stages. So I looked through some other ones, and I see him again. And he goes, I've been talking about this, YRG and the heart monitor. DDP puts a heart monitor on it. He puts the heart monitor up to the screen and says 89. He goes, watch this. He developed this thing called dynamic resistance. And he pushes himself up, and he's leaning on his bed. And all he does is 2 touchdowns, push his hands together, come back to a diamond cutter, hulk it up like 3 times. His heart rate goes from 89 to 139. And I'm like, oh, my God, that's got to be Arthur. So I call him up. I call him up, and I said, Arthur, is that you in the videos? He goes, yes. Do you want me to take him down? I'm like, take him down? This is amazing. No, don't take him down. I go, you need to get a better camera. That camera's, and you need to start filming everything. So 2 weeks later, a total of 2 weeks total, he calls him back, and that's where he lost 20 pounds and 4 inches off his stomach. Now, I got this friend of mine who actually is doing a movie called Inspired the Movie. His name is Steve Yu. And he said, anybody you find that you're helping, I would love to have you in this movie talking to people and inspiring them. Well, I gave him a couple guys that didn't work out. When I saw this on YouTube, I picked up the phone. He told me he lost the 20 pounds and 4 inches. I picked up the phone. I said, Steve, you need to get to Atlanta ASAP. To Baltimore ASAP. Leave Atlanta, take a flight there. You want to get this guy on record. Because I think he's going to do some amazing things. Now, all he wanted to do was lose 50 pounds so that he can get his knees operated on. Because when you're that heavy, they won't operate on you if your body can't structurally take it with new knees. Not new actual new knees. He's going to have whatever surgery he's going to have. And that was the goal, get him down 50 pounds.
So because if he would have had the surgery, it wouldn't have done no good because he was too heavy anyway.
Right, he couldn't support himself, right? And so the doctors won't do that. They do it all the time. Amazing thing about this, he's never had those operations.
Really?
And this can do stuff I can't do.
So his knees actually healed themselves?
And I give it, the workout was definitely a huge part of it, but the nutrition, what he ate and how he ate it, real food, that's what your body will heal itself. It'll keep yourself from not being sick. I mean, we've got so much cancer in our society today. I mean, they say that 1 out of 3 people will die of cancer before it's over. 1 in 3 will die today because of the shit that we put in our bodies. What the government is letting the growers, wheat, dairy, corn, soy, all genetically modified. It's not the shit that we ate 15, well, really 25, 30, 40 years ago. If you look at any pictures from the 50s, find me someone who's more than 50 pounds overweight. So 50 pounds back then was like, oh my God. Now that's like the norm. You know, processed garbage foods. They did a Harvard study just I think it was last year. You know what they call the Harvard study? I got to find exactly the doctor who did it. They call fast food fake food.
Right.
Because it's, I mean, it really isn't. If you really look at what's in it, you know, when I was just, do you guys know who Gabe Iglesias is? They call him Fluffy. The comedian, the Mexican comedian, he's really funny. I just was at his house. He's 401 pounds. Went to his house. He's a big fan. Became buddies. Went to his house. You know, started having read labels.
I know who you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about. He's a big time comic.
Got kind of like a little bowl cut type deal on his head, shaved on the sides, but little tiny hair.
Oh, he's got full head of hair.
Oh, maybe.
Just Google him. He's really funny. But bottom line, I said, if you can't pronounce the word,
don't eat it. There's still that big lawsuit with Monsanto and all these big companies because of the labeling of foods, even some that are supposed to be organic and healthy for you. That big, and I forget what it is, GMO, whatever that stands for, and all the labeling of there's so many companies that they don't label everything that goes in it, or they don't label the chemicals that go in the growing and processing of the food and animals, like you said. And yeah, that's a very big deal, because especially when like stuff that you think is organic and you think is supposed to be good for you has all this shit in it that you don't know about at all.
Isn't there a lot of latitude with advertisement too about low fat and exactly what that means, and
yeah,
whole grain? I saw something where they're saying the local bread might say it's whole grain bread, but if you read the ingredients and the first ingredient is flour, then it's really not whole grain bread like you're thinking.
It seems like
the bottom line is they're trying to pass a law right now, and it's not the government, it's the people are trying to pass a law, so it has to say genetically modified wheat, genetically modified corn, genetically modified soy. I mean, it's so much shit. I mean, I have a site called teamddpyoga.com. Anybody who invests in the program, I send them there. And a lot of reasons why people fail, and you guys have never had problems with your weight, but that, not big problems anyway, Mike.
I had a big problem after my accident. I got up to about 245, 250.
Wow.
You should see my passport picture. It barely fits in my passport.
Wow.
They had to pull the camera back?
Yeah, they had to move the camera back. They look at this fat head.
You took it off, though. A lot of people don't. And when they do take it off, they put it back on plus 10 to 20%. And that really comes down to what they're putting in their body. Your body sometimes doesn't process stuff. Especially when you're younger, it does. So if you're a kid, like I just saw a kid the other day who sent me an email on YouTube saying I'm 14 years old and I'm 330 pounds.
What?
He shouldn't be eating wheat, dairy, corn, anything that's processed because his body doesn't know how to metabolize it. When you're a kid, that's when you can get away with that shit. Later on it hits you. So I actually had him send me his picture, a number of his mother. And I called her up. Her husband died because of obesity. Saved himself to death. Had a heart attack like at 36. He's 512 pounds. She's 250. I'm like, if you don't change the way you're eating, your child never will. And he's the one who's crying for help. But he's got nowhere to go, because that's, they're going to bring home what they did. And unfortunately, poor families, they really get the end behind, end of the tip, because they can't afford the better foods. So what I say when they don't have any money, I say stop eating wheat and dairy now. Eat more vegetables if you really want to help heal yourself. If not, well, the perimeter shopping. There's no ingredients in vegetables. Now there's a shitload of pesticides, like a lot, but they have sprays for that stuff, so at least help take it off. So that's what I try to tell people who don't have any money.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause this is a bad thing. A cheeseburger is 99 cents. That damn salad at McDonald's costs $4. So is that
organic bell peppers $3.99.
Is that mentality, like you said, that people that don't have money, the cheaper stuff is bad. I mean, it's worse for you. Have you seen the pink paste video from McDonald's? The pink paste
from the ground beef?
No, it's from the chicken McNuggets. Now everybody likes chicken McNuggets. You on the road for a lot of years. You gotta have McDonald's sometimes, and I was a McNugget guy. And there's some video, and you have to look for McDonald's and pink paste, and it's like how they make the McNuggets, and it's all the bones are ground up, and it's like, and it looks like the soft ice cream. That shit comes out. You know what I'm talking about?
Food's made out of. They just shape it different.
I've seen Jamie Oliver do it.
It's hideous.
He's got these kids. Jamie Oliver had these kids, and Jamie Oliver, the chef.
Yeah.
So he's doing a show. It's somewhere in Tennessee, and he's really frustrated because the people, they just don't want to listen to him about what you're doing to your body with the garbage foods. So he says, this is the one thing. This thing I know will work. It works everywhere. So he took a chicken and he cut it all down, did all the filleting, showed them all the different parts of it and put them all over here. He left the carcass. Anybody want this? They went, ooh. So he said, watch what I do here. He put it in a processor and ground it up and then poured some gluten in there, then pure gluten, then poured some flour in there, ground that all up. Anybody want this? Ew. Then he cut it into little round pieces right in front of him, put it on the pan, and then ground it up and said, who wants this? And every kid raised their hand. That shows you Pavlov's dogs. All they saw was the fried little things, and I'll eat that. I love those. Well, that's what you are. There's like 42 chemicals in the McNuggets. Why it needs 42, I don't know.
I literally haven't ate a McNugget since I saw that video, and
you can tell there's something in them things just not right.
But I used to love them, and he was just like, I don't care, it's a McNugget, whatever.
You got to be safe. They wouldn't be serving it to me.
Yeah, that is exactly. I mean, they wouldn't be able to serve it if it wasn't safe. But then again, cigarettes are legal, and they kill the hell out of everybody. So I don't know.
They would be able to. I'll tell you what. There was just a thing with Coke and Pepsi, where this one group of people were so adamant that they were like, "You need to put Coke and Pepsi could cause cancer because of this one ingredient." You know what they did?
What?
They took it out. They just took it out. It's so easy for them to take shit out.
Yeah.
It's there's a woman named Robin O'Brien. I just had her on my show. On Wednesdays, I do a show, DDP Radio. If I don't do it, I have some of my people who actually are part of my internet, team that are all, transformations. Because sometimes, you need to listen to a person who is a crack addict if you're a crack addict. So I come on like a couple times a month. And last month I had on Robin O'Brien. And she's a mom, an activist, but was a woman who, grew up in Texas on po' boys and moon pie. So it wasn't like she ever thought she'd be a foodie until one of her kids went into anaphylactic shock. You know what that is?
Yeah, of course.
Nut allergy.
And, boom. So the doctor says, well, what were you feeding your child? Eggo, let go my Eggos, waffles, blue yogurt, and eggs, which are 3 of the top allergies for kids. Now, if you go back 50 years when I was a kid, no kid had allergies to food. Peanut butter? I mean, seriously? Everyone ate peanut butter.
The peanut is a damn killer these days. It's like
now it's like mustard gas.
Because these kids who are born today, or in the last couple of years, they are like your kid. You are a product, your generation, of the processed generation. So all already been all in your system. Everybody thinks, well, it's not doing anything to me. Well, eat a little bit of arsenic every day. That's what you do.
I wonder how that even came into their head to be an ingredient. Like I think about like when I hear about some of these chemicals and like arsenic, there's nothing you ever do that's really good with arsenic. So I wonder how that came about. That well, let's put some arsenic in the food and see what it does. Like how did that even originate as an ingredient in any kind of food?
It'll probably make a gallon of orange juice or something last for 6 months without going bad. Whereas if you go squeeze it yourself, it'll last 3 days.
Let me tell you a story about OJ. Now, I'm not talking about fresh squeezed orange juice. I'm talking about any orange juice that you see on the store where you grab it and it says fresh squeezed on the cart that's been there who knows how long. So a buddy of mine, it was more of an acquaintance. I'm flying with him. And, you talk to guys, you talk to people on the internet. I mean, on the plane, if you get a good conversation going. And we started, I got a tequila and orange juice. The last one I've ever ordered, by the way, that wasn't fresh squeezed. And he said to me, I can't drink that anymore. I go, tequila? He goes, no, orange juice. I said, what?
Tequila's fine. Orange juice, no.
I said, why is that? And he said, well, what I do is I'm like an attorney for bankrupted companies that go to Chapter 11 before they go bankrupt. Like, how can they salvage everything? And I got to go down there and try to help them get themselves out of Chapter 11. So they gave me a tour. And he goes, you would not believe how big those plants are for the orange juice. And he said, they're like 2 football fields long. He goes, it's humongous. So I'm going through the plant, and I see, it looks like a vat of water. And I said, what do you guys, mix water with the orange juice? He goes, no, that's the orange juice. He goes, but it's clear. He goes, oh, we just put dye in there. But after it's all processed and everything, it's clear. And then he passed another section where they're putting pulp, dry pulp, into the orange juice. He goes, but neither one of those things really bothered me. He said, what I saw next bothered me. And there was a stack of lime, like from Home Depot. Like those big, thick bags of lime, one on top of another. He goes, well, what do you use that for? He said, that's the calcium. Right.
I think I'm
just lime
stab myself right now.
with the coconut. Well, that's something I really didn't want to hear.
So it's a chemical concoction that tastes like orange juice.
That's what they do. He wouldn't tell me the name. He said, all I'll tell you, it's one of the big ones. Because, but I would be willing to bet, he said, that they all do it.
I was going to say, if one's doing it, they're all doing it.
I tell you what, you can buy it's not Crystal Light, it's the Walmart version. Crystal Light, there's little travel packs that you mix in the water. And there's the Walmart brand, which is like Great Value or some shit like that. There's one that's apple juice. And literally, you pour that little powder in water, and it tastes exactly like apple juice. And the first time I only drank it once. And I've always thought, I was like, I wonder if that's just how they make apple juice. Like, because that shit wasn't apple juice. But if I didn't know it wasn't apple juice, I would have thought it was apple juice. That's how much it tasted like it. And I've always thought since then, I was like, man, I bet there ain't no fucking real apple juice. There ain't even one apple farm.
You need to get you a green machine. You know what that is? DDP, you know what a green machine is? That juicer, masticator?
Well, I know what a juicer is.
This is like a super juicer. I mean, it costs like $600, but it's
Vitamix?
No, I got a Vitamix too. That's like a big badass blender. This thing looks like it's got a big old motor, and it's got these 2 spiral big metal blades in it. Yeah, it kicks ass. But I mean, if you want to make apple juice, put apples in there, and the shit that comes out the other end is apple juice.
That's apple juice, right?
Yeah.
That's apple juice, exactly, and that's good.
But the thing is, if you make that apple juice, like that and put it in the refrigerator, it's only good for about a day.
Right.
So that makes you wonder, what the hell are they putting in the stuff you buy in the store when you can put it in there for 2 months and it's still good.
I mean, I wonder if one day technology and whatever will make them be able to do that with chemicals that won't kill us. Because obviously, not enough. I mean, if you had to sit there and do your food like that all day long,
well,
I mean, you'd be working all day long to make your food. And not everybody has that money to do that.
Or pay $600 for a juicer.
Think, bro, it is so much easier than you think. We're so spoiled to open a refrigerator, grab and drink, as opposed to prepare something. It doesn't take that long. Like I'm moving to Atlanta, and sometime in September or October, when I'm bringing my whole place live, from workouts live. You have to be part of Team DDP Yoga to get in it. I'll do occasional workouts where people can actually see it or come in, but they got to have the program. They have to understand what we're doing before they come in and try to do what I do. But I'm also going into my kitchen, and I make some amazing stuff just from grabbing out of the cabinets. But it's all, anything that's in my house, I can eat.
Yeah, but see, but you have a luxury. You don't have a luxury. You don't have a 9 to 5, and I kind of do too. But if I had to work a 9 to 5 job and then somehow grow my own vegetables and grow my own fruit and do all this, I mean, that's why people go to grocery stores and buy all that shit and all this processed stuff,
Convenience, laziness.
Hey, Arthur, that guy, he worked 70 hours a week when he made that transformation. 70 hours a week.
So maybe I'm just a lazy motherfucker. How about that?
You said it.
Yeah. We've been blessed. We got to live a dream, bro. And I'm still living the dream, and so are you. Because I'm never going to do something that I can't. I work 24/7 sometimes, but it's never working. I'm working right now, but it's not working.
I'm going to throw up I took some graphics from your website. I'm going to throw up the packaging programs just to see what people can buy from, is it DDPYoga.com? Is that the website?
DDPYoga.com.
All right, let me throw these up real quick so people can see what they can get. Take these titles off. Can you see that? No, he can't see it. So I'll tell you what I'm reading. This is Pack 1, 6 beginner, intermediate to advanced workouts. That's Pack 1. And then you got a Pack 2, which is 5 intermediate to advanced workouts for those already familiar with DDP Yoga.
Right.
And you got a combo pack of 1 and 2, the most bang for your buck. Wordplay, a little bit of wordplay there. You got the Extreme DDP, 4 intense workouts for elite athletes. And then there's the Max, which is you can get everything for one low price. And I'm gonna just flash your t-shirts up real quick while we're doing this. The DDP Yoga is up front. You got a tank top for men, a tank top for women. Smart move. You got the long sleeve shirt, which is very nice. But also, I didn't save the image, but I remember it being on your website. You get a heart monitor with you can buy the heart monitor here, and it's $20 off if you buy any of these packaging. Tell everybody why that heart monitor, and I know you told me, but tell the people why that heart monitor is so important to your program.
Well, starters, so many people train too hard, especially people who are trying to lose weight. And you're going to lose more body fat in your fat burning zone, which, let's use an example. Let's take someone who's 40 years old. 40 less 180 is 140. Now drop from 140 to 120. You're burning fat. You're still burning fat down below that, but nowhere near as much as you will from 120 to 140 or from 130 to 140. If you 150, 160, and so forth, you're not just burning fat, you're burning muscle too. So, and a lot of reasons, and I know this for a fact, but it took me a long time to really register. Like for me, I'm 56 now. So 56 plus 180 is 124. Now, if you're out of shape like Arthur was, you might want to drop another 5 to 10 clicks. If you're in superior shape, like I am, maybe you want to come up 5 to 10 clicks. So let's say my high end is 134. I don't ever like to go up in the 140s for any more than a minute or two. I want to come back down in my low 130s, high 120s. I'm going to burn the most fat. I'm going to get that cardiovascular conditioning that I need, like as if I'm running. If I stay too high, at the end of the workout, I'm going to be burned out. I'm going to have my ass whooped. Like everybody goes, man, that workout kicked my ass. That's not me, and that's not my workout. I want you to get to the end of the workout going, wow, I feel electric. I could do it all over again, or think about doing it all over again. And most people train themselves still too hard. If they're really overweight, you want to be able to know what your heart rate is. And that's how you're going to get the most effective workout that you can get. Now, just to let people know we're listening, on level 1, I always tell people, I'm not trying to sell you on anything. If you want to get the program, you just want to try it out, go get the level 1. $69, man, or 3 payments or whatever it is. Just get that and start that way. You got 30 days. You don't want it, send it back. But if you're serious and you want more bang for your buck, then you get the combo or the max pack. Now, today I go through my, people who buy the program, and I just pick a person here and there to pick, because I call like 5 to 10 people a day, every day. Some days I've called 20 people. And if they put their phone number down, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them. Now, that isn't everybody, but in this scenario, and I'll see someone just bought pack 2. And where it says, how'd you hear about it? They have recurring customer. Well, instead of that costing them $100, it just cost them $130. So, and they say, I wish I would have got the program earlier. I wish I would have got the whole thing together. And all you have to do is go to Facebook, and you guys are big social marketing, networking people. Go to Facebook. One word, DDPYoga. Don't listen to a fucking thing I have to say. Go read what those people say. And when they first come to Facebook, 85% of the time, I don't even know who they are. I do get to know if they keep coming back and they go to Team DDPYoga, they ask me questions. Because anybody who asks me questions that are intelligent questions, I answer them back. I take the time. I go on Team DDPYoga. I answer them back. I welcome people. That guy, Arthur, disabled veteran, he welcomes people. You go there and sign up, people are overwhelmed sometimes. They're like, I cannot believe all the positivity coming off of this. And it's all how I started, and then they take it and run with it.
It's an incredible thing, man. It's very impressive to me that you even found this another avenue of stuff to do. So many guys in our industry, and not to just change gears, but one of the reasons I use you as an example, and one of the ways I use you as an example, is that so many guys in our industry, they get so wrapped up in just wrestling that when that part is over, and it will always be over for every single one of us, if you don't have nothing else to do, if you got nothing else going on, that's when those guys get really lost. Not just in life, but within themselves. They don't really have no interest and nothing else to do. So it was very cool to me that you never really seemed to have a dip. You were wrestling, and then when you stopped, it was like, bam, I'm doing something else, and I got shit to do, and that's very cool. That's a mental thing too, because a lot of guys don't have that.
And, it's me and you've been around each other a long time, and it really started with our good buddy Chris Canyon, crazy bastard he was. One of the really good guys. God, I hope he was right, and there is no heaven and no hell, and everything was a joke. I hope he's right. Personally, I don't think he is. I believe in God, and I've got a pretty good connection to that whole spirit thing. Not really buying the whole JC thing, and I didn't say Jay-Z, JC. But I do appreciate everything that is about Jesus Christ. I appreciate all the stuff that the people said about him, because obviously he was a pretty cool guy, that just did all the same things, like don't judge people, and be a good person, don't fuck nobody over, like be a good person. I mean, that was the message,
Yeah.
But what the big thing is never give up. That video, never give up. Now, we all know when you're first getting into professional wrestling, and you finally get to the show, you finally get there, and you think, oh my God, I'm finally here. Well, you don't ever really get to enjoy all that much, because now you're thinking, how can I get to here? How can I get to here? Oh my God, can I ever get to the top? Oh my God, it took so long to get here. You think it's the hardest thing you ever did, and you realize, oh my God, the hardest thing's staying here.
Yeah.
There's only one way to go from right here, too.
Yeah. When you're on top, the only place to go is down.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you a very good story, Mike. When they hired me in WCW, they had this bright idea to hire me and then evaluate me after they hired me.
Oh yeah, I think you told me that when they sent you down to the power plant. And said,
Yeah,
okay,
so
here's your tryout. They hired me 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I was staying at camp. Exactly. They gave me a 3-year deal and then said, all right, we're going to go evaluate you. And I was going, what? Did y'all miss those matches I had that y'all hired me for? But So I was staying at Kanye's house. Me and Shannon Moore were, and Kanye had a couple other guys that he would let stay there. You know, just a very generous guy, and super generous. And he told us one day, he said, "Hey, Dallas is going to come by to talk to you guys tonight." And we're like, "What the fuck for?" And I just remember Paige came over and just was like, it was one of the coolest things I think any Top Guy's ever done for me personally, and just that I've heard of. Just came over and was just like, just the advice, like, I want to let you guys know this ain't gonna be easy, and you can't stop here, and don't think that you made it yet, because you got to some of that same shit, because now we got to go here, and we got to go here, and all that. And I just remember you didn't know a single one of us, and just took your time out to come over there and just talk to us, because a bunch of us that got hired, because they hired like 10 or 12 cruiserweights at a time.
Well, but they hired Joey and Christian the same time they hired you two guys, and those two didn't make the cut. Remember?
Yeah, they didn't make it. Hey man, not everybody makes it, so that's the sad reality of the business. There's a lot of.
I mean, it wasn't anything they did. It was just, you know, they were standing over here and they should have been standing over there. I guess from what I hear, they just never really got a chance to.
Well, they hired all those cruiserweights to do a. Bischoff was going to do a thing like Tough Enough, but with the cruiserweights.
It was going to be like a reality show on a bus, and how what you guys did anyway.
Tough Enough.
But they were going to try to coordinate it, and it was Bishop was ahead of the curve. You know, he's put like 8 or 9 shows on TV, like him and Herbie. But it's really, really hard to get one show on TV. They've done like 9. So he was ahead of the curve on that. It didn't work out, but, you know, look what happened with you. A couple Jimmy Yang. Yeah. Jimmy Yang came to my house in Halloween dressed as Sting. There was Diamond Dallas Page. There was Macho Man. There was Hogan.
How old was he?
Were they trick-or-treating?
No, he was actually working in WCW when it happened. No, he was like 13 or 15 or so. He was older than trick-or-treater should be, right?
Right. Well, you know, 15 years old. You know, they were just, I didn't know this. They would come by my house every day, and I thought, this is our chance to walk up to the door.
True.
The back, you know, early I was with the little kids out there and giving them their candy and shit, and then I went to the back, was watching TV, and when Kim saw that, she was, Paige, come here, you got to see this. And I walked down, got the guy with the blonde hair, the DDP shirt with his ribs taped, jeans, you know, all the guys were dressed up. You know, we took pictures.
His ribs were taped?
Yeah, taped his ribs. It was awesome. He was the guy rocking. He came in. He didn't make it, but he's one of the guys who came in. Yep. So let me tell you the story. So we take pictures of him, and then Christmas comes around, and you know me, man. I'm like Clark Griswold. I'm like Christmas shit everywhere. So I'm out putting up my Christmas lights by myself, and these guys drive by like, hey, DDP. They pull their car over. They get out. They walk down. They start asking me questions. And, I know you know where this is going, Shane. I go, hey, answer any questions you want. You grab those lights. You go get Santa. The reindeer back. Everybody to work. You want me? You can ask me wrestling questions as we're working.
With real close.
With the lights up. So now it's February, and I've been on the road so much then, you know, be like, forget about it. My lights are going down like February 27th, you know, right. Down. And I'm outside. These guys come by again. Now, I think it's a fluke, but I don't know. They're driving by my house every day. Stevie's outside. Stevie's walking around. So I'm taking down the lights. Here they come. And they start talking to me. I go, you guys know the drill. I go, you climb up that ladder, get on the roof, get those lights off. I get up and do all this shit. It takes about an hour and a half. We get to the end. I will never forget this. There's 2 things I will never forget. One is Jimmy, and he says, you know, you made us big stars in our school because we put the picture up, so we're the Diamond Cutter Club. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. He goes, and then he says to me, Jay, he says, do you know why we really loved your stuff? And I said, no, Jimmy, why don't you tell me? He said, because we can't see through it. Now, for a 16-year-old kid, you know.
It's a little insightful.
I was like, wow. I go, that's pretty cool. So they asked people to take a picture, you know, with the diamond cutter and stuff. So now Kim, she's upstairs. I walk up there with these guys, and I'm taking a picture, and this one guy tries to get out and I take them all the way to the ground. And I took them all the way to the ground.
How old was he?
They went crazy. Oh my God, oh my God. He tried to get out and keeps going, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
She's calling the lawyer.
I had it on video. And I'm going, couldn't let him out. He goes, are you crazy? She's going to me, are you crazy? Well, yes. Funny, right?
That Jimmy Yang is in Japan right now working with Muda.
Is he really?
Can you believe that?
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was some of the funnest times I had in WCW. We always worked the Young Dragons 1,000 times. Every house show started with 3 count versus the Young, like every fucking one.
I don't know where you were at. You weren't there for some reason, but WCW came to Memphis when I was staying there. And all I remember is we went to this strip club. I don't know if you remember at DDP. You were there, and
no strip club.
But maybe it was somebody else.
Never been to a
maybe
strip.
It was Jimmy Yang. But all I remember is Jamie Noble ended up at my house that night and spent the night on my couch.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning and walked up there and went, what are you doing here?
Mike actually was down in had a developmental deal with WWE for a little while. You were in Memphis?
I was in Memphis and Louisville.
Hellholes. I never would have made it if I'd had to go do that shit.
That was a little
I
rough.
don't have that mentality for that. No,
So what's up, Jamie Noble? Every time I go up there, Jimmy's got a great spot up there in WWE.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who's been there forever, in the office and everything. They just like him. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's good. He comes up with good spots. I did ask him one time, though. I was like, Jamie, I said, how did you get this job? He's like, what are you talking about, Sugar? He still called me Sugar. Most of the WCW guys did. What are you talking about, Sugar?
He's a little hickey.
He's got his Southern twang puts mine to shame. And I go, Jamie, I was like, some of your best matches were with me, and I called the shit. How are you an agent now telling me what to do? Oh, shit, man. Man, I got to keep moving on.
Right, he sounds just like him now.
Oh, boy. I love talking to him. He's one of those guys I'll send a voicemail just so I can save the voicemail and listen to it a couple times. There are a couple of guys, I do that with Bushwhacker. I do it with Flair. I do it with Jamie Noble. Some guys just so I can listen to the voicemail purposely so I can hear that shit and then call them back. Ridiculous.
I got a great one from Piper with that. When he heard about it, he goes, I don't know if I want to leave a message. You sound kind of scary.
Every time I meet Piper, and I say meet, now I've been around him 20 times.
Right.
He come to WWE a couple times and all that, and I was always there, and I've been on him with the Indies, and I just saw him at the Comic Con. Literally, every time I meet him, I have no idea if he remembers me or not. And like my Hurricane character is pretty hard to forget, especially like in Comic Con, I was in the shit. And I'm in the mask, and I go up and say, hey, never really says any nice as he could be, but I never get to every time I leave, I'm going, I don't know if he knows me or not.
I couldn't believe Chavo remembered meeting me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, man,
like we all get names,
Yeah. That's the worst part. I've met so many people. Like now, my brain does something where if you tell me your first and last name, by the time I'm to the last name, I've already forgotten the first name.
I've been working on that.
I feel bad about that too.
Well, I'm getting into some supplement stuff that helps. And I forget the Neotrix or something.
So you got some memory supplements and you forgot the name of them?
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a good endorsement.
Yeah, I'll have to pick some of those up.
I just started though, but I know what I take is I forget. And
they're not one of your sponsors, are they?
No,
They were.
They were. It's just gonna be gone now. But it's the science of regenerating those nerve pathways. There's a lot of herbs, a lot of herbs and natural stuff that like regenerates your brain. There's a big study. I'm not study because it's been out now. Going more into your health and fitness and not diet but lifestyle. Like how bad fluoride really is. Like fluoride calcifies in your pineal gland, and your pineal gland is what's called the God organ. And that's what makes consciousness. That's what makes you dream. It's the release of DMT that separates us from animals. Is that pineal gland. And fluoride, nothing to do with the penis. Not the penis gland. And fluoride calcifies in there and destroys it to lead to dementia, Alzheimer's, all kind of shit that just fucks up the way you think.
But you'll have nice teeth.
Your teeth will be fucking great. but you can't remember shit. Very.
That damn, dementia, that's no joke, man. Anytime I hear about that, and there's a lot of studies right now linking wheat, because it's not wheat that, God made or whatever being made this planet. It's not that wheat. It's been genetically modified so that there's the gluten in there and all the other shit. And those wheat from the GMO wheat, if it comes a seed, it used to grow up. Well, now it's dead. As soon as it makes a seed, it means nothing. You got to go back. The farmers have to go back and buy those seeds. They have them patented. And all you have to do is follow the money on just about everything.
I tell you what really sold me on gluten. And I'm on the Dolce diet. We talked about that before too. And it's very similar to what you do. This guy's food. It's vegetables. It's fruits. Stay away from gluten. And like when you get out of that mode of eating gluten, and then like I was, it was something where I had to go to the hospital, and I was, with my girl there, and I hadn't ate in hours, and I'm dying. And I'm at that point where I don't give a shit what I eat. I gotta have something in me, or I'm gonna lose my mind. And I hadn't eaten in a McDonald's in probably 4 months or something like that, 4 or 5 months. This was after the pink paste. And I went and ate I'm gonna just get a small double cheeseburger, okay? Because I can eat that, not the big double quarter pounders, no, just a little small double cheeseburger, just to satisfy me. And it's so filled with shit. I felt awful.
I know exactly what you mean.
I was like, what in the fuck did I just eat? And I was like, and that's where the diet helps in a way that you don't know, or good lifestyle that you don't know until you do it. Because once you start feeling bad, not just mentally but physically bad from eating fast food, then you really don't want it. And that's the key to that victory. When you don't want that bad food, that's when that diet or lifestyle, as you say, that's when it really takes off. When you don't want bad shit, when you want to eat good, then you got it made.
Well, if y'all got a second here, I don't want to bore you to death, but my personal story. I mean, I quit wrestling about 11 years ago. When I wrestled, I was always in shape, wasn't I?
Hell yeah.
I mean, I was in good shape.
There you are, right down the screen. You can't see a page, but used to be jacked. Big Diesel.
But long story short, over the past 10 years, I started gaining weight. It's not working out. It's probably my age. It's the way I eat. And we had a little wake-up call about 2 weeks ago. We had a cancer scare with my wife. Thank God everything's okay now. She doesn't have cancer, but for a few days there, we were shitting lock washers. But that was a wake-up.
What?
Shitting lock washers.
Shitting lock washers.
But anyway, she and I made a commitment that, it's not going to be 2 weeks of a diet and a week off and, 2 weeks in the gym and 2 weeks off. We've committed to go for it this time. And I've been on the Dolce diet hard and heavy now for the past 3 weeks. And I only screwed up one time, and I ate a chicken biscuit from McDonald's. And I thought, well, that won't be that bad. I ate that motherfucker, and I had to lay down for about 4 hours.
It's amazing.
I literally felt like I went in there and took a can of Crisco and ate a big spoonful of it. It was like I could just feel, it was just.
To me, there's nothing now, nothing tastes better than feeling really great. Now, you guys are still kids. When I'm 56, and I started doing the whole wheat and dairy thing 3 years ago, because, I want you guys know this feeling. You go to get out of the bed and take a piss, and then your body's like, and you're like moving in like pieces because you're so fucking sore. And my brother would tell me for years, right? He started this in 1999, saying, because that's how I got out of bed. I roll off to the side, get out of bed, start moving, oil for the Tin Man's just moving, And he says, stop eating the wheat and dairy. You'll feel completely different. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going to do that, because I just thought it was too much of a chore. And then once I realized, I'm feeling so bad when I wake up. Like there's one of my there's one of my workouts. There's a tutorial on with the combo pack, and then there's 10 workouts. One of them's only 10 minutes, and it's the wake up. It's what I would do every single morning. If you're in bed, I'd flop my legs left, move myself around, crawl down, got on the mat. After 10 minutes, I was like, boom, let's go. When I stopped eating wheat and dairy, by the time that third week came around, I started to feel really better. that third month came around, I've never done that 10-minute workout ever again. I can go right from waking up within 2 minutes, be on the mat, and be doing the most psycho. I held my foot out here in front of me, like this, holding my one foot out, standing the other, for 60 today. And then pulled it out to the side and held it for 60, 3 sets of 20. Then went into some whole other shit. And that was about 30 minutes after me waking up. My body is so much stronger and feels so much younger because I've gotten rid of that part of the shit. When I go into a restaurant now, I'd rather eat home. I mean, I'd always rather eat home because nobody's going to make the food that tastes half as good as I am. Unless I'm going to pay $40, $50 bucks for a bone-in ribeye from one of those high-end steak places, because I know that's a real, I want to talk about meat, because we are meat eaters, that we are. The bottom line is nobody can make anything that's going to taste as good as I can make it. On that meat thing, this other woman, I had a nutritionist on my show at DDP Radio a couple months ago, and I said, well, Whole Foods, they're big proponents of no steroids, no anabolics, no this, no that, all clean. And she said, well, that's true and it's not true. I'm like, what do you mean it's not true? She said, well, there's a difference between grass-fed and grass-finished. I'm like, what does grass-finished mean? Now, nowhere does it say this in Whole Foods. But if you go to their cabinets where the meat's at, you will see step 1, step 4. And I would have thought, well, they look exactly the same. There's no hormones, blah, blah, blah. What's the difference? I'll take the one that's $1 or so cheaper a pound. Because that's all it is, like $1 or so a pound. So she said to me that according to the FDA, that they can say no anabolic steroids or any of that shit in the meat as long as they don't hit the thing for 4 weeks out. So 4 weeks out, that cow that they're about to slaughter, they jack that fucker up. And then they kill him. The grass finish says that cow was raised on that ranch, ate grass, only grass, died on that ranch. No, nothing. So the difference between a level 4, level 1, take them both and do the taste test. After you develop the tasting, it won't happen to you right away, but when you get healthy, like you couldn't have that damn McDonald's shit because it made you want to fucking die. You know, when it takes a while, there's a time you can eat 10 of those burgers. Or God forbid, we went by a White Castle and decided to have 50 of them. Oh my God, I might die. At this point, I might die if I did that. And there's another thing I want to share with you. The difference between regular chicken and air chilled. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Every piece of chicken that's filleted is put into a vat of salt water. Every single one. Except one that says air chilled. Next time you go to Whole Foods, go by and say, where's your air chill? By the way, that should be step 2 or step 3. Because most chicken don't even get step 1. Because that's how filthy that animal is. At least step 1, okay? Just say, unless you're on the road, then you got to eat what the fuck you got to eat. But I'm just telling you, go to the case, get the step 2 or 3 with the bone on. Take it, get one of those little thermometers. Bake it, put in a little bit of olive oil, some lemon, some seasoning. Throw it in the baker for 35 minutes. Set the alarm at 350. Then take it out, or don't even take it out. Just switch it to broil so it gets crispy for 5 minutes. Switch it back for 5 minutes to bake. Bring that sucker out. Stick the little thermometer in it. Should be about 160. That's where you want it. That will be the best piece of chicken you have ever had in your life, times 10.
Sounds like you know your stuff, man. You know a lot more than I do about that.
Yeah, right.
What about air chilled chicken heads?
Chicken heads?
Or chicken feet.
That might be a conversation for a different time. Before we go, me and you had a very eventful road trip one time. We had a couple. But it's a story I'll tell you. I don't know if I ever told you. We were going from Yuma, Arizona to Phoenix
on the 310.
On the 310, and there is nothing for the viewers watching. Absolutely fucking zero. And the road don't even curve.
Do you remember the movie we were watching?
Gladiator. And it wasn't illegal at the time.
What, to watch a movie while you're driving?
Put it on the dashboard. We had a big Lincoln, a Caddy, or some shit. Paige would take care of the car. I was always entertainment. I would just sit over there and say stupid shit and make people laugh.
Out there on those roads, there's nothing to run into.
I'm entertainment. And so he had been driving the whole loop, and this was Sunday night. We had a show in Yuma on a baseball field, hot as fuck.
Damn.
You remember that shit? Hot as hell. And now we're on that 310 to Phoenix, and literally, like I said, the road is straight and no curves and so many flat and desert and buzzards and cactus and turtles and all kinds of shit out there. And like I said, he'd been driving the whole loop. So when I got in, I just took off. And I didn't pay attention to one particular gauge at all. The gas. So we sitting there, and Paige didn't think about it either. You know, we shouldn't. Neither one of us. We're kind of sitting there. He's got the Gladiator on the DVD player on the dashboard. You know, and I'm sitting there driving. You know, I've done seen the movie 100 times. But fucking love it, classic. And then Paige just like, hey, what's that gas? I guess it just dawned in your mind in the recesses that we ain't got gas in a long fucking time. And I looked down there, I was like, I didn't even want to say it either. I was like, this motherfucker's about out.
There's probably not a gas station every 5 miles either, is there?
Knows how long the light's been on.
Yeah, the light is on, and we don't know how long. They're like, oh, fuck. And you don't want the gas to run out. I mean, the car to run out of gas. So we pull over, and both of us get onto them, start calling people. Well, actually, he started calling people. I called fucking AAA. Because I had my AAA. And I got to get on the phone with the dumbest fucking lady of all time.
Did it run out, or were you just trying to prevent that from happening?
No, we're trying to prevent it from happening. We don't want the car to run out, but it was on fumes. So if we kept going, and there's nothing for another fucking 100 miles, so we know we're going to run out if we don't stop. And so I'm on there, and I remember being on with this lady, and 310 is the highway, you sure?
No, it's the movie 310.
Oh, what the fuck. No, whatever the highway we were on, I was like, yeah, we're on whatever highway 666, heading fucking west. And there's a mile marker. I said, mile marker 320. And she goes, are you going east or west? I'm going, I don't fucking know. North. We're going toward Phoenix from Yuma, highway 666, mile marker 320. What kind of car are you in? Man, we're the only car out here. There's no other cars out here. We're on the side of the road. The flashes are on. You don't know what kind of car you in? Fucking rental car. I'm looking around. It's Lincoln. We're in a Lincoln Town car. What color is it? I think it's tan. It could be gray. I don't fucking know. We're the only car out here. Highway 666, mile marker 320. We're right fucking here on the side of the road. I'm about to fucking snap. And finally, Paige gets a hold of Devon Dudley. And Devon had just passed a gas station leaving Yuma. So he went back, filled up a couple tanks. And there was a moment there where me and Paige were like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Motherfucker, you were driving. Well, you had been driving. Well, you should have known. It's all kind of shit. But that was Devon ended up saving the day.
He did.
I love Devon Dudley.
Dude, I said, you take care of the gas because they gave $100. $100 for 10 gallons?
That's probably what it would cost now.
Yeah, right now that'd be about what it costs. Man, that was a hell of a deal. So, anyway, Paige, man, thank you for your time, man. This has been very interesting. I love all your diet stuff. I got the DDP yoga.
Here, I'm gonna give him a plug right now.
All right.
Like I said, we just had a wake-up call at my house. My wife is a massage therapist. She went to some kind of class yesterday. She comes home this morning while we're sitting there right after I talked to you, and she says, there's a yoga class upstairs at this thing. I'm going to sign us up for it. And I said, nope. Wait right there.
Wait right there.
DDP. So I'll be on the internet tonight, and I'll get the full package.
It's worth it. I'm gonna show up this picture. Everybody knows my woman, what she looks like. That yoga, she's a fitness freak.
She's lost a lot of weight since the last time I saw her.
Yeah, I'll send you a few weeks ago. Did you get the picture I tweeted of little Sebastian, and it looks like he's doing the gimmick? Yeah, she swears by the yoga. I do. Jericho, man, there's a lot of guys, and it's not just. I'm not one of those guys that I might give you a little plug if you're my buddy just to help you out, but I'm not going to sing your praises if I don't believe it. I do believe it because I know it works, man. You know, I'm not even supposed to be walking today myself, and I really think that yoga has helped me out. So you got all my support, man. I'm very proud of what you're doing.
Let me hear what we're going to come back on the show, and I want you to come down to once I get settled into Atlanta, bro. I want you to come on down and spend a couple nights with us down there because I'll be filming workouts. We'll be in the kitchen. It's going to be really cool. And actually, I started Jacob. I started Jake Roberts 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Went down and filmed his beginning so people could really see where he was. And can you see my hands are like turned in like that?
Yeah.
That's the arthritis. Where if you don't take care of it, you could end up like that. Okay. Because that's how the famous actor, can't remember his name. He was like a horror actor. Can't remember, it escapes me right now. But at the end, his hands were doing all these like really funky things because that's what happens to arthritis. But I'm gonna see if it's possible because working with Jake. He started here. And, the big thing I have to do, and it ain't the diamond cutter sign, it's just this. It's pushing these thumb and index fingers together because it engages all these muscles. And then once you do that, you try to pull your pinkies out, which engage all these muscles. And that's the beginning of this. So when I started with Jake, we're filming all this. It's here. And I just took his hands and started pulling them open and pulling them open. And it got to a point by the time I left that he was here as opposed to there. So it was getting out. And he's been doing it. He told me he's done it 6 days a week for the last 2 weeks. He actually did double days, 25-minute workout to start with. He's down, and all his weight is in his stomach. He was 301 pounds at 6'5" or 6'6", whatever he is. He's down 18 pounds in 2 weeks, eating phase 3 and doing the workout, like I say, 6 out of 7 days. And I've been talking to him and going to bring him up for a little bit up in Atlanta too, and just spend some real focused time with him, working on him. And if I can really help Jake, just being his guy, because I've talked about him before. Without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. He gave me my big break. He was my mentor throughout my career. The other guy was Jake Roberts and Jody Hamilton. But Jake really gave me the tools and the knowledge of how to get over. He never gave it to me. He made me earn everything. He made me figure it out, but he'd give me the little bits. And now I'm getting to pay him back and help him out. And I'll tell you what, if Jake Roberts turns his life around with this, that's going to be humongous.
Dude, I would love to hear a positive story about Jake Roberts. If you can make that happen, that would be tremendous, man. That's incredible. And it's a good guy that's doing that, man. That's very good for you. So anyway, like I said, man, I want to thank you again for taking time to do the show. DDPYoga.com is where you guys can find it. Your Twitter, both of them, Real DDP and at DDPYoga. Actually, I got to fix it. Stay there, just so I can make it look good. I had DDPYoga.
That's a whole nother workout I'm working on.
That's a whole nother workout, but instantaneously, watch this, people. Bam! So I'm working on it, man. This is it's a work in progress what I'm doing here.
Absolutely, and you're doing it all. You're producing yourself.
Yeah. Jeff Katz was he was the one that taught me into doing this. I was trying to talk myself out of doing it, but it's kind of taken off, and sponsors are doing really good, and they're coming to me instead of me having to go to them, and that's always a blessing. So
that's a thumbs up, brother. Hey, I had a good time talking. I want to see you down in Atlanta. We'll talk the next couple of weeks when I get in there, and it's been your pleasure.
It surely has. Thanks a lot, DDP.
Take it easy, bro. Enjoyed it.
Thanks. Man, that's a good guy, man. Like I said, he did take the time out in WCW to come and talk to a bunch of young cruiserweights and give us advice. You know, and it was good stuff, man. He's always been a good guy.
You know, I'll say something about him. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I've met him a few times, and you know, it wasn't enough, or I didn't really talk to him enough for him to probably remember any of it. But 20 years ago, when I was doing jobs for WCW, enhancement, as you would call it today in the politically correct term, but I was a jabroni.
Where?
Oh yeah, I still am. That was when he was a manager. He was managing Scott Hall, Diamond and Stud. Remember that?
Right.
Before he ever started wrestling, and I don't know if you were exposed to it back then, but back then the top guys really kind of acted like they were an elite class, and then the guys that were jabronis were supposed to go over there and sit in the corner and not talk.
Right.
I mean, it's different now. I mean, you know, everybody's cool now. But
it's kind of like that still a little bit.
Well, he was one of them guys, man, that was, you know, he was cool. He'd come around and talk to us, and he gave me a bottle of conditioner for my hair one night because I was in there and my fucking hair was all frizzed out. He said, "Hey, you want you ought to try this shit right here?
Hey,
so you won't be looking like a
you also want to try these breath mints when you're done, and then here's a bar set for your ass." Now he's always been a good guy, man. He's taught, you know, his book was really good, and like just like you said, he was cool to me from day one. When he came up to WWE, I remember riding with him a lot. And, man, he was a good guy. Very unique individual.
Well, his story is impressive too. About, you know, he spent a lot of years in the business, but he was always a manager.
Well, like, I mean, he just loved the business too. He, like, if you read his book, he was doing nightclubs and shit for a long, long time. And then when he fell in love with this business, he's like, I just want to do it. And then, I mean, from the AWA, that's
AWA Diamond Exchange.
That's a unique story, man. Not many people.
Well,
and look at him there, all jacked.
Well, you see a lot of guys that you know, were wrestlers and then now they're managers, like J.J. Dillon or Bobby Heenan or something like that. I mean, you go back and Gary Hart, you can find tapes of them from the 60s and 70s when they're out there as wrestlers, but then, you know, they hurt their knees or whatever, and then they want to go out there and be managers. He was kind of the opposite. I mean, I'm not sure how old he was. He said he was 56.
I think he started in his 30s.
Yeah, but he was probably pushing 40 when he went out there and you know, started getting in the ring and wrestling.
No, I don't know, man, because you got to imagine, he was getting his run in WCW in the Monday Night Wars. That's a little bit longer than you actually remember. You're talking about 95, 96.
Well, I remember when he started wrestling, and I remember watching and going, oh, you know, DDP's going to wrestle. They'll job his ass out, and that'll be the end of that.
So that could have been around 92, 20 years ago.
He started, you know, they started pushing him, and like, I was like, man, he's doing pretty, you know, he's good.
He's something. He's an example of something that is just gone in wrestling right now.
What, that work ethic?
Not work ethic. No, there's a lot of guys that work hard. But him and Kidman, the two guys that you could see grow. They didn't bring him in and said they didn't like sit backstage and go, you know what, we're going to make a star out of this guy.
Yeah,
so let's give him this push. They didn't do that. These are him and Kidman are two guys in in WCW that went out there and they just gradually got better. And then they didn't have no choice but to do something with them. Like now, like especially with the feeder program that, you know, FCW and
yeah, they already know what they're going to do.
They know what they're going to do with you. You don't get to see nobody grow. You don't get to see nobody go from that jobber status to mid-card status.
I can see, and you, maybe I'm not accurate on this because you know more about it than I do, was Zack Ryder.
Yeah, Zack
Ryder. He seemed like a guy that, you know, he had a job and he was out there and he kind of got himself over.
Well, no, I mean, actually, he came in with Edge. He came in and was the World Tag Team Champion. So they came in, they gave him some shit, and it was the exact opposite. Then they took it away.
Yeah.
And then
he was a tag team with another dude, right?
Yeah, Hawkins, and they were the World Tag Team Champions, the Edgeheads. And I don't know if they actually called them that, but that was the deal.
They had long hair.
Yeah, and they were like brought him in. It's like, we know what we're going to do with this guy. See, that's how that hurt. That hurts a lot of guys when you don't give them. We know what we're going to do, and then once it's over, it's like, okay, it's over. Now what?
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired, or you go to oblivion. But it's a good call what you said, because then he became that guy. He started building.
Well, that's a case of somebody getting, you know, you can get dejected or discouraged by that, and you can kind of just sit back and go, well, I'll just lay low and collect the check till they fire me, or you can say fuck that, and you can get up there and, you know, say I'm going to reinvent myself.
If you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and it's not working, part of the blame has to fall on you. So, I mean, anyway, I know you tweeted me the other day. Your text was actually filming the one with Shad during TNA last Thursday, but you hated the gut check.
Well,
because I checked, I still have a gut. So
yeah, I got one making.
I'm working on it though. Well, look at my little pose from this weekend though. AIWF champion, PWI. Look at me.
Who is that dude?
That's Lewis Moore. He's the AIWF world champion.
Looks like he's getting in good shape.
Yeah, he's a talented kid, dude. And this was a really good show I was on, man.
Yeah, he looks good there.
Fun stuff. But so you hate the gut check, or you hated the guy?
No.
I'm not a fan of the concept, period.
What, that whole America's Next Top Star where you just come off the streets and all of a sudden, boom, you get a job?
Yeah, like American Idol popped like 15 years ago. I don't even know what season we're on American Idol, 9, 10, 11, whatever, but I don't like that.
I don't know who that dude was. What was his name?
I have no idea.
Screwy Louie or something like that. Anyway, I don't know what the deal was, but he had a match with our former guest here, Phil Shatter, Gunner, at the TNA terms, and I felt bad for Gunner because I could tell. I mean, Gunner did a really good job of making this guy look better than what he was actually doing.
Right.
But a casual fan might not notice this, but you and I would spot it like a turd in a punch bowl. The guy was just.
Have you ever found a turd in a punch bowl?
No, and I don't want to.
Right.
But if there was one in there, I guarantee I'd spot it.
You ever double dip the chick? Was it that bad? I didn't get. I got it downstairs.
Check it out and tell me what you think. I mean, it was just.
I'll tell you what I don't like.
I don't know. Gunner was 2 speeds ahead of this guy. I mean, he'd be getting up, and this guy would still be looking around over here. And it was just a lot of those.
See, well, that kind of goes back to what I'm saying. If these guys are going to grow, they need to grow at their own level and their own pace. I don't understand, like, TNA still growing as a brand. I hate people comparing TNA to WWE. It's just not fair. WWE's been around for decades. They got such a head start. People that compare the two just because they're in the same business, you're really being unfair to TNA and put them in a no-win situation no matter what. But what TNA's doing, I mean, the problem is, and it's not a problem, but the battle is always going to be to getting that brand out there. To make people know
people to perceive you as being equal to this, even if the show is the production and everything looks similar.
You want to be your own self, and you want to have everybody on that show be a star. You want everybody to be presented as a star. But with this gut check, we're telling people we don't know if these guys are worth a fuck, but we're going to spend some TV time on them, and it may or may not work.
TV time on they got 2 hours a week. That's a precious 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would use that TV time with proven commodities. Or guys that are going to go out there. Guys like Scorpio Sky, and I think they gave him a contract. The Willie Mack guy. That's kind of different because they knew those guys were going to be good. And I could deal with that. And I could deal with bringing in some new guys. But just
now, what happens to them when they get a contract? That don't mean you're going to see them on TV next week. That means they're going to OVW, right?
Yeah, it might just mean that. Like, what the fuck does that do for TNA? That does more for OVW than it does for TNA. And I don't see that.
In your opinion, is there a need to have guys on developmental contracts now? Is there that much when that really got popular was when WCW and WWE were fighting for talent.
Right.
I mean, if anybody came up and got the least little bit of attention, it was, I just want to grab them and lock them down before the other company gets them.
If they got designs and plans for them, I can definitely see why you would do it. Yeah. Because you want to groom somebody. Because a lot of guys, when you do indies, man, it's just there's a difference between working in front of a small crowd and in front of a big crowd. It's a massive difference. So if you just come right off the indie scene into TNA, or to WWE,
that's like going from elementary school to college.
Yeah, it's a tough transition. Once you get it, but it's kind of tough to get there sometimes. So.
Well, the time I spent, it might be different. Where's the developmental territory for WWE now? Florida still?
Florida, yeah. It's not Florida Championship Wrestling anymore. It's just NXT. They've just rebranded it, which is good because just localizing something like that. Vince is always global.
Well, who's running it now? Is it still Mike Graham and Steve Kern?
I don't know how much Mike Graham had to do with it. I know Steve Kern had a lot to do with it when it was going on. I know some of the trainers are Norman Smiley, Joey Matthews is down there. I think Dusty's down there helping with promos and stuff like that. They got a good system, and what they're doing now more so than they have done recently is they're getting good indie talent down there, and that's key. Instead of just getting football players and this kind of horse shit.
I was never a fan of that. I don't think that pays off.
No, it doesn't. I mean, and the thing is, if they get 1 out of 1 million. To some people, that justifies it.
I think the other 999,000 just suck it up, fucking stink it up.
Yeah, so they wasted a lot of money on guys. I can't tell you how many times I went there in WWE and on TV put over some guy because they were trying to get him over because he couldn't get over on his own, and then a year later he's fucking gone.
Yeah, but they still got to pay him for 6 more years because he played hardball with a contract.
Yeah, he's gone. I'm sitting there going, well, if he sucks so bad, why was he going over me to begin with? But anyway, man, hell, I appreciate you doing the show, man. We're doing good. This H2H blowing up. Bang. Roll DDP. Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear the wife's doing well.
Yes, that was scary.
I bet.
You know, when you get that phone call from a doctor and they say, we need you to come back in. We want to do a biopsy. You go, why? What the fuck? Well, something, don't worry about it. No, motherfucker, I'm worried. You just said biopsy. What the fuck do you mean? I know what a biopsy is, motherfucker. I know what that's for.
Nothing good is associated with a biopsy.
And, of course, the first thing you do is Google biopsy.
Worst thing ever.
And then it's like, oh, my God. You start reading all the scary
Web
shit.
doctor. Don't get WebMD. Don't ever get on that fucking thing.
But that was until that doctor came in there when she came out of surgery and said.
Now, I remember you telling me it was supposed to be. How long was the surgery supposed to be?
An hour.
And how long was it?
It lasted all fucking day, probably 6 or 7 hours.
Now you had to be fucking freaking out. Did anybody come in there and talk to you in between this time?
Here's how it went. Long story short, they found a mass on her ovary on an ultrasound.
Okay.
Now. That's the first thing I heard. And we spent about 4 days with no knowledge, but there's a mass, a 4-centimeter mass, which is like this, the size of a kiwi fruit. I said, what the fuck? So I'm Googling this shit. And
you're Googling kiwi? I'm
Googling kiwi, and they said anything that big is not good. But, you're freaking out. Your mind thinks the worst, and you're like, oh, my God, this is stage 4 cancer. It's probably spread. She's going to die. What am I going to do? We got a kid. And you're thinking all this shit. Well, we finally went to go see an oncologist. And that's even worse because these poor people that have cancer, that is a horrible disease. And you walk into this waiting room to go have her checked out. And people are in there. They don't have hair. They're on chemotherapy. And it's just you're sitting in the waiting room with them and you're looking at them like going, God, when am I going to be? When are we going to look like this? But she goes back and the oncologist says, look, it's your age group. 9 times out of 10, these things are nothing. So that was like for about an hour.
Right.
Then you start going, well, she said 9 times out of 10. What if I'm that one?
There's always that one.
So, but then they said, we'll get you in for surgery tomorrow. And I was like, I'm getting her into surgery awful quick. And I was like, so we go to the hospital and they got her in there and they're putting her under the anesthetic.
Yeah, so on one hand you're like, well, it's really good they're getting her in there, but why the rush?
Yeah.
At the same time. Gotcha.
So the doctor comes in and I said, now look, you told me that 9 times out of 10, how's this going to work? When will you know what this thing is? And she said, 15 minutes after I take it out. She said, I'm going to take it out. We send it to the lab. They do pathology. They come right back and tell me. They said, now, while we're in there, if they come back and they say it's nothing, then we'll sew her back up. She'll be back out here in an hour. But if it is something, then we're going to take out her uterus. We're going to take out her ovaries. We're going to do that, do this, and this. I said, okay. So all I know is they wheel her off. And I'm sitting there and I go, all right. That was an hour and 45 minutes ago. So I'm sitting there going, I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck. So finally, after about 2.5 hours, the desk pages me. We get a call from the OR. Well, what the fuck is it? And they said, well, we're going to be in here a while longer. I said, why? What's wrong? Well, we're going to go in. We're going to take a few lymph nodes and blah, blah, blah. And I said, so did the pathology come back? Did she have cancer? And they said, and I've never heard this expression before, but it's a non-malignant borderline tumor, which means if it's left alone, it will spread. Like a totally benign tumor, you can leave it in there and it can get this big, and eventually you'll have to take it out, but it won't spread to other organs. A borderline tumor is not malignant in the sense that it doesn't spread the same way a cancer does, but if you leave it in there, it will very slowly spread and do things you don't want it to do. So, credit to her doctor. They went through there and removed any possible thing that it could have spread to, sent every bit of it off to see if there was any of the cells that spread anywhere. The pathology came back, and they had not. So,
she's clean?
She's clean. So, thank God for that. And speaking of that, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, Chuck is going in. Chuck Coates, our friend, is starting his bone marrow transplant.
Now, is that he was going to do it anyway whether he needed to or not, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's an insurance policy.
Oh, okay.
It's because he had cancer, 7 years ago or something like that,
right.
And it came back. So that was something they wanted to do. There's a picture of him.
When's he going to do that?
He started the preliminary treatments now,
Okay.
Which I'm not sure what all's involved. I'll figure it out and let you know. But I mean, when it goes down to it, he's got to go into a sterile environment and stay there for about 30 days. It's like an apartment.
Yeah, and nobody can see him?
His wife. But she's got to go through some kind of sterilization to get going there. So he's going to be having a rough time. So
we'll be thinking about you, Chuck.
Yep.
We got to get him back on the show once he's all healed up. You know he's going to be. He's on the Facebook all the time.
Yeah, he
stays positive. That's
he
amazing.
definitely stays positive. So for you religious folks out there, say a prayer for my friend Chuck. Shane and I have known him for 25 years. You've known him for 22.
He's a great heart.
Yeah, he's a good-hearted guy. He's a teddy bear. Certainly doesn't deserve what he's going through, but he'll pull through it. So now, everybody's good and depressed.
Yeah. Now that we've all doom and gloom, but no, man, that's life, man. It ain't all cherries.
Unless you're Michael Cherry.
Unless you're Michael Cherry, who had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Michael Cherry. Well, everybody, thanks for watching again. Spread the word that Highway2Helms is now on YouTube.com/ShaneHelmsCom. Okay? I can try to keep it all simple. Twitter, @ShaneHelmsCom. Facebook, @ShaneHelmsCom. Everything @Shane. Trying to keep it simple. But yeah, that's what we're going to do now. iTunes is great, fabulous, and we might keep putting these on iTunes as well. But YouTube is just more of a global thing, and you're not married to just one device. Although Apple is still the best phone out there. And we got
being
some
an
big.
Apple phone owner, I will agree with you now.
I tried to tell you. And we got some good app projects coming up. Pick4apps.com. We got some big names coming in with that. So there are fires in the iron. What am I saying? Irons in the fire. There are irons in the fire, and they're hot. So
it's gonna burn somebody's ass.
It's gonna burn somebody's ass. Anybody, thanks everybody for tuning in. Heaven forbid.
Highway2Helms.
Another day, another dollar as I holler to the world. I love the way I'm living, love the Gucci, love the girls, love the parties and the clubs, love the models and hot tubs, love the German engineering set on deep dish dubs. Another tour around the world, entertaining the fans. I love walking through the airport, taking pictures, shaking hands. Every day for me's an oyster, crack it open, find a pearl. I love the way I'm living, is what I holler to the world. Wake